right, good evening, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our August Liberty Wells Community Council meeting. We didn't meet last month because we had a lot of events. Thanks for any of you who attended those events and participated in our fundraiser to save the Coachman's sign. That's going to be stored away now. For plans TBD exactly where it's going to live, but a lot going on in the summer. So we took a couple months off and a lot is going on in Liberty Wells sort of all of a sudden. So I'm going to give a disclaimer at the beginning that I'd like our presenters to try to keep their remarks brief. I'd like to keep questions focused on the topic. There might be a moment where I sort of cut things off and say we have to move on. I'm not trying to silence anyone or have anybody's voices not be heard. But all of the topics we have this evening, I think, are incredibly important and relevant to our community. And I want to make sure we have time to get to all of them. So thank you for understanding that. I'm just going to start off with just a couple of announcements. The Ida M. Cotton Park, which is that sweet little pocket park on Downington and 3rd East, I think. I almost want to say 4th. That was chosen or selected to be redone through the GO bond a couple of years ago, and the work on that is finally beginning. So the park is closed, but it will reopen next fall with a updated design, and the design was based on input that our community provided. So kind of exciting to have our sweet little park in Liberty Wells get some attention. I also wanted to just let folks know that we are working with the other district or Precinct 5 school district community council members to facilitate a candidate forum for Annie Ramano, who is running for re-election for Precinct 5, and Sandra Buendia. That will be on October 4th or October 1st at the Salt Lake Community College building, and we'll be posting more about that. If you sign up for our email, you'll get information about that as well. Some other exciting news: anybody who lives on the south end of our district and 4th East between Westminster and 21st South, there are going to be some speed bumps put in, some speed humps to be specific. And that construction should be starting rather quickly as well. The other thing, and I think something very, those of you who are interested in development and changes to our city and what's going on, what's the future of our central city community, what does that hold? Please make sure you take the Central City Community Plan survey that is on shape.slc.gov. They've extended the deadline for public input until just the end of this month, August 31st. So this is your chance to weigh in on how you feel about open space and density and traffic and all of these things that those of us who are the type that would attend a community council meeting, I think, very much care about. So be sure to check that out. And while you're there, there are a couple of other open surveys that look a little interesting as well.
Margaret,
yes.
That address again.
It is shape.slc.gov. Okay, and with that, the agenda this evening is going to be a public safety update from Detective Swift. If the fire department shows up, we'll give them a couple of minutes as well. After that, we will have a quick introduction from Zach Robinson, who is running for the school district position at large. And if he's not here yet,
County Council at large.
Oh, County Council at large, sorry. Yes, and thank you. And then Erika Carlsen should be here as well. There she is, there. I looked down and must have missed her coming in. She's going to take some time to give us an update from the city council. And then there has been a lot going on lately with some unfortunate, not all surprises are good surprises, addressing the trees around Lincoln Plaza. There are some things that were a surprise to us all that happened in this last week. And I want to just right now thank Erika. She has been on site every day this week, checking in, trying to figure out what's going on, trying to get some answers about what's happening there. And she'll give us an update on that as well as part of her time. And then we'll have Josh give an update from the mayor's office. And then as part of that update, we've got many of you here that have a another unfortunate, unpleasant surprise about your water line connecting all of your homes, and what opportunities or options there are to get some help with that. And then with that, we will turn it over to Annie Ramano to give us an update on some of the things that the school district is doing with schools that are opening up, and just what the future of the school district and the schools. And then I'm hoping that we have 30 minutes. That's what I'm kind of talking fast, because I would like to reserve the last 30 minutes of our meeting from 8 p.m. to 8:30 for a presentation from our neighbors who are going to share some thoughts about the Wells property development that is being proposed right now, the upzone. It looks like it's getting on the agenda. So Erika can maybe give us an update on that as well. And just open it up for discussion. They would like your input. They'd like to share their thoughts. And with that, with any time remaining, we'll open it up for the open agenda if there is time. Before I turn it over to Detective Swift, and as it happens, of course, 2 minutes before running out the door, I realized my printer was out of ink. So this is a very faded, hot pink email sign up. If you're not already signed up for our Liberty Wells Community Council mailing list, please go ahead and sign up. We send 2 emails a month on average, and it's basically, here's what's going on, and here's what we're going to talk about in our meeting, and then here's what we did talk about in the meeting, and any other updates. So we really don't spam you. We don't share your information. And with that, Detective Swift.
All right, I'll keep it quick since you have a big list of stuff to go over. 2 big things that have been going on lately. We have an ongoing talk going with the 999 bike riders. We have a very good meeting on that. Tonight, we have one of our deputy chiefs there, our commander over operations. Seems like, from what I'm told, that meeting's going well. There's some constructive talks ongoing with that. I don't know if Erika was there with that or not. Yeah, so it sounded like, from what I heard, it sounded like it went well. And then, of course, the big one lately too, we had an increase in presence in Liberty Park because of the shooting. So to just give you a little background on that, from what we can tell, that shooting from a couple weeks ago was not part of a larger issue or pattern or anything like that we can tell. It really was something that could have gone on anywhere. It's 2 guys got in an altercation. Someone was really dumb and escalated way beyond what was necessary. But it wasn't really, it wasn't linked to drug dealing. Wasn't linked to, a guy killing in the park or gang activity or anything like that. It was just a stupid thing over a dog. He got at it. But that being said, we still have been the last couple of weeks probably seeing a lot more of us over here. We've been running specific operations on Sunday to address that gathering, the drum circle that goes on at that end of the park. That's where it occurred. So yeah, you will continue to see, I believe there's another one this Sunday. You'll continue to see that pressure on the park from now. Just, to make sure that we're keeping the lid on it. Keeping all the progress we've had in the last year. Yeah, if you guys got anything for me, if you guys want to save time, then my email, phone, or right on the front of the website.
Are you still doing your copy and copy? That one going?
That's usually do the PR unit. I don't know what the next one is. They do them periodically. I'm not sure what the next one is, but usually that's on.
Thank you. And let's see, Zach is,
I don't believe here yet.
Zach's not here. Okay. Well, Erika, we'll let you go ahead then.
Awesome. Do you want to speak at a place?
If you could
Okay.
come up close so that the
Then
mic can pick your
Great.
voice up, that would be good. Thanks.
All right. Hi, everyone. If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Erika Carlsen. I'm your city council member for District 5. Wanted to give you a few brief updates because I know you've got a lot on the agenda right now. To give you a preview of some things that are coming up at City Council that you're invited to provide public comment on. One of the things that we will be receiving public comment on is a new transparency ordinance governing the use of automated license plate readers. So if you have feelings about that, you want to learn more about that, you want to read the ordinance, how are they currently used, what would restrict the use of them, and if you I see that there are multiple sides on that issue, and so I encourage you to come to City Council. September 15th at 7 p.m. is when you can make that public comment on that topic. And always happy to connect with people offline to talk a little bit more about that technology. Second thing I wanted to give you an update on, and Jonathan is probably already on this, but on September 15th, we will be receiving public comment on the proposed Wells development that's on 5th East and near 21st South. If you have strong feelings about that, for or against, you're invited to come and share those your feelings with the whole council. Last I wanted to talk about is a CIP. Hey, pop quiz. Anybody know what CIP means? All right, what does CIP mean, Jeff?
Capital Improvement Program.
And what is CIP?
It's a way for the community to help get a permanent improvement. Liberty Wells has submitted multiple times for speed humps through our area. It has to be something that's permanent and a benefit for the community.
Thanks for letting me put you on the spot. You did great. Yeah. So we are just wrapping up some of our decisions. They're not yet final. So if you have a strong perspective on some of the projects that were submitted, you're still welcome to submit your public comment. But it's looking positively for a CIP application that was for 17 South neighborhood byways. And so that would continue to improve pedestrian travel, bicyclists, and crossings. And that would be at 2nd East, 4th East, 8th East, 1000 and 1200 East. So that's looking good. It's not for sure until the vote happens, but it's looking good. Also, as part of that CIP, enhanced park lighting in parks all across Salt Lake City, restrooms, which I know are a big deal for many constituents, bike racks, and streets. And so I wanted you can learn about the dollar amounts being invested in these all across the city, but I just wanted to bring you those highlights. Last, but certainly not least, and perhaps the most heartbreaking part of this week is, like Margaret mentioned, I received, thanks to many constituents, folks who contacted my office and said it looks like they're taking down the trees at Lincoln Plaza. Lincoln Plaza is right at 13 South, across from the esteemed Coachman's. And as I saw the tree removal people there, I'm not aware that they were going to remove some mature trees as part of that redevelopment. Contacted the developer, who I then learned was a new developer, not the one who was involved in the entitlement process. And they did in fact receive a permit to remove 13 trees, a number of which were mature trees. And so I'm honestly heartbroken about how this happened. I'm still trying to understand what happened in the permit process, but I'm still learning, but what I understand is the trees are on private property. A developer can pay mitigation fees to have trees removed, which breaks my heart. And so I'm still trying to get learn about what happened, how that ended up moving forward without community knowledge, especially because I know community was very involved in trying to protect those trees.
We had this happen before, and it usually happens when a developer pushes through, gets approvals, and then they sell the development, and what was agreed to with the approvals for some reason doesn't transfer to the new developer.
Yes, and that is what I want to figure out, how we can change that.
Thank you.
So I can't make you any promises, but it didn't feel very good to me, and I don't feel like it's a good partnership with the community for that to have happened. So hope to have more of a update on what happened with those trees, but for now I'm just heartbroken. So I'll leave it at that. I don't think there's time for questions, unless there are. Yeah.
Do we know what's being built there? Maybe I'm late to the game.
Townhomes.
Okay.
Rental townhomes.
You mentioned mitigation. What that might be? Like
Mitigation.
for those trees that are gone, you said that there might be.
Oh,
mitigation.
if a developer decides to remove a tree, that they are it's legally permissible for them to remove a tree, they do have to pay fines. But I feel like no matter how high that fine is, it doesn't compensate for the lack of shade that those trees provide and the fact that it'll take decades. Even if they're planting new trees to catch up and help us with our heat island.
Along those lines, is there any way we can find out exactly what they're gonna be developing there? 'Cause since there's a new developer from October, are there plans out there of what exactly is gonna go?
That's a good question. I'm trying to follow up on it as much as I can. I just saw this happening on Monday. And so I've been trying, and then council meeting all day yesterday, so, excuse me, Tuesday. So I'm trying to get as much information. I'll share it with Margaret, who can share it with the community. Yeah, say one for the trees tonight. And don't forget to water your tree. That is very hot. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, come on up. We've got a microphone up here, so that we need you to be close to.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I apologize, I'm a few minutes late. I was at another event and it ran a little bit longer, but I just wanted to come really quickly and be in front of this group and introduce myself. My name is Zach, and I'm a candidate running for the Salt Lake County Council. One of the things that I've been doing with this race is reaching out to community groups such as this. Salt Lake City has a really great infrastructure of community groups such as this. And so I want to make sure that you know that I'm here. I am running on the Democratic side of the ticket this year. It's an open seat, and I'm running for the entire valley. And so what's really important for me is to have relationships with groups like yourself. So when there are issues that Councilmember Carlsen can't deal with, and we need to escalate that, I want to make sure that I'm a resource for you as well. And so I wanted to take just like 2 minutes and come out and introduce myself and just kind of put a face with the name, because you're going to be getting your ballots soon, and you're probably going to be contacted by a lot of candidates. I'm pretty confident I will be contacting all of you. So I just wanted to at least put a face with a name, and then let you know too, and commit to this group that if I am sitting in that seat, I do want to be an asset to not only groups like this, but also your local policymakers in Salt Lake City, excuse me, that really have an impact on your life. Very briefly about me. My background is I was a firefighter and a paramedic for a long time, so I used to be cool. I'm not that cool. It sounds like you had some here earlier. Was it law enforcement or was it fire that was here first?
They didn't show up today. Yeah,
Flakes.
police were here and then.
Flakes.
Yeah.
They're playing video games. Telling me from experience. No, like good people. But so that I got my public service in that started in that area, and then I served on the Sandy City Council for 8 years. I just finished up there at the end of 2025 and decided to run for this Salt Lake County position here in 2026. So I've got a lot of municipal experience. I've got a lot of experience working with groups like yourself. I understand what you all bring to the table too. You care about this community, and it's really important for us as policymakers to hear your voices. And that's why it was really important for me to get out and introduce myself in front of this group this early in the process. And especially if I'm lucky enough to win, I do want to come back with some regularity and offer some input from the county level as well. Excuse me. You've got Gito, who's an amazing council member. We're working together, which I love that guy to death. But he's a fantastic council member, but I will be an asset to him as well, representing the entire valley if I'm lucky enough to win. And we're trying very hard to pull that off. So I don't know if there's an opportunity for a question or two. I'm more than happy to answer. If it's also appropriate, I did bring some of my contact information as well. I want to make sure you're informed voters when you do get your ballots. Here's all of my contact information, a little bit of information about me and kind of my background as well. I'm happy to leave those up front. But yeah, if it's okay to answer a question or two, I'll be more than happy to.
Oh, I was just gonna ask your last name, but I saw it's Robinson.
Robinson, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, thought I said that. Yes.
Can you talk about maybe a frustration you had being on the city council about things that can't be solved at that level, right? You would hope to.
Yeah, that is an amazing question, and you've got Councilmember Carlsen here too to weigh in. It's really hard when you're sitting at a local level, such as Sandy or Salt Lake City or West Valley or Riverton, those types of councils, and see the county making decisions that have an impact on your municipality without asking your input. That was incredibly frustrating to me. I'm not going to stand up here and say I'll never do that because I never know what the impacts are.
First.
Well, you never know what the impacts of some of these policies are, but one thing that will be bringing to the table is relationships and an understanding of what your local council is going through. So then it may have that light bulb flash and saying, hey, you might want to talk to some local people about this to measure that impact. So to answer your direct question, it was just a lack of two-way communication. It was always one way coming down and never, how is this policy going to impact your city? I hope to change that. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of work on my part. I'm not going to bat 1,000, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I'm working with your policymakers to make sure the impacts are minimal to your community, if there are any.
Was there any particular issue you found that was frustrating, like a particular policy?
Yeah. In Sandy, sorry. Yeah, no, you mentioned that. I apologize. In Sandy, we had the county come in and do some construction work in one of our creeks. They were actually widening the creek for flood mitigation. It was in the 2022-2023 winter season where we had a ton of snow. They were just kind of coming in and bulldozing. We had neighbors calling me, like people were calling me. I represented that area and we just had no insight. It would have been nice to know that they were actually doing some sort of heavy work for flood mitigation so that I can communicate that on their behalf. That's a small one. It's kind of small potatoes, but it just goes to show that people like yourself who care about your community are paying attention and you're trying to call folks for answers. And I didn't have an answer for them and that bugged me.
We did get an online comment from James. It says, thank you, Zach. He's a big fan.
Oh, thanks, James.
Maybe one more.
Yes.
More broadly, can you give us a sense of like maybe one or two of your top issues that you would actually be able to help with? I specifically
There's a lot going on right now, as you all know. Honestly, the ones that we're spending a lot of our time and energy on, one of them's kind of soft, I'll admit it right now, but there is one that does have a lot of impact on people. The county is responsible for delivering services to you all as tax-paying residents, right? One of those services was cut, and it was very publicly cut, and that was our childcare service. People relied on that service, and the county council cut it, and they got a ton of pushback from the valley, or from residents around the valley. There are working families that care and need that affordable childcare. I'm taking it a step further and just saying, like, making sure that service delivery is still efficient for you all. You're all paying for these services. And so I want to make sure that service delivery, such as childcare, senior services was a big one down in Salt Lake City. I mean, the 10th East Senior Center was cut. There was some work done there. So it didn't make sense to me to see those services get cut while taxes were being raised. That was weird to me. So service delivery is a big one. That's our big job as local policymakers or municipal policymakers, is to make sure you get services that you're paying for. The other one too, another issue, and this is the soft one, I'll acknowledge it, but relationship building is a big deal. Like, one thing I've heard as I've been around groups like this is the county doesn't have great relationships with your local elected officials. And I really want to change that. That's something that's really important to me. And then I've got all the traditionals as well. Like, you know, we're really focused on public safety. That's my background. That's where I come from. We have to do something with the jail. Law enforcement needs a place to put people that need to be in jail, but also the jail needs to provide services that probably don't need to be in jail. That's a conversation the next council is going to have. I think what will directly impact this area, meaning downtown Salt Lake, is what's going on with the Salt Palace. That's something the next council is going to be smack dab in the middle of. I've been working with Councilmember Wharton to kind of understand his perspective a little bit and the impacts that his constituents are seeing with that. There's so many things. The Great Salt Lake, we haven't talked about that yet, but there are environmental challenges all over the valley. Great Salt Lake is one. The gondola up Little Cottonwood, that's one that I've got my eye on. And then what's going on at Parley's Canyon. And there's a new one starting to pop up out in the southwest part of the valley. And there's some development that's now starting to creep up into some of that kind of land that I've kind of got my eye on. So there's a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just wanted to come introduce myself. That was really it. And thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your meeting. And thanks for the opportunity to do so.
Thank you.
No.
Josh.
Oh, that's a couple questions. Okay, good people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, everyone, my name is Josh Rebollo. I'm the community liaison in the mayor's office for District 5. As far as updates, I have a couple updates from the administration before I get to some of the other topics that have come up this week. Ida M. Cotton Park, which is down on 300 East, just below 17 South, is closed this week, and they're doing renovations of it as part of the park's bond. And so they're going to be making some improvements in that park. It'll be open back again next spring. So just want to provide that information. You see that park closed. And then just another plug for shape.slc, shape.slc.gov for all the surveys that the city's putting out. Central Community Plan, so many other important plans and surveys are on there. Also on there, you have information from our recycling division about some recycling, community recycling events coming up. There's one, I believe, coming up this Saturday, and they have other ones coming up next month too. So check out shape.slc.gov. I was contacted this week, late last week, and throughout this week by residents on Logan Avenue, between 400 East and Blair Street. So on this stretch of Logan Avenue, there's a private water line that there's been some leaks on, and this past few weeks, we understood that there was a private property owner that did a repair on their part of the private line, and then there was another break that happened below the right of way on 400 East. So I've been in communication with our public utilities department, with the director, with their deputy directors, talking about this. And I've learned, that line installed, I believe they said back in 1918, and throughout the service area for public utilities, which includes Mill Creek and parts of Sandy, throughout the whole utility service area, there are a lot of private lines. I don't know the exact number, I can find that out, but there are private lines. And in those cases, it's the policy of the city, because they're not public lines, they're private lines, that they're the responsibility of the private property owners. However, there's been so many things that have happened over the history of this that they recognize that there's people that buy their properties that are not aware that there's a private water line underneath. And I think that's still something I'm working through with public utilities to kind of figure out. It seems like property owners bought their houses not knowing there was a private line underneath. Then we had this break, extremely low water pressure, sediment, some things kind of dealing with, and that's not a good situation. So I know I've been in contact with some of you all who have been dealing with this, and I'm still going to be talking with you all. And we're gonna, if we need to pull together a meeting with public utilities leadership to talk about these issues, we can do that. And so we'll get that taken care of, because I know that it affects, it's, a relatively small portion, but that's when you have that, that's a basic necessity of having water. And so it is unfortunate that happened this week. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm happy to connect you with public utilities. We'll be in touch. I talked with Dylan and talked with Gracie and with others who live on that street. So that's on that issue. And then on the trees, I did today get an email from our urban forestry division. So this is a situation with the removal of these trees that our urban forestry division is not happy about. It's a frustrating situation from their perspective and from perspective of public lands, because as they said, when the tree is on private property, there's a lot of leeway that they have in being able to get a permit for removing trees through mitigation. And I believe he said it was about $38,000 in this specific. What was that?
31,300.
31,300 in this specific case for mitigation. However, when it comes to new development, site designs, the public can weigh in. The public, and that includes some of the tree removal. But when it comes to just the tree removal and that being modified, there's not currently that public input process, and that's sort of a weakness, blind spot, loophole, whatever you want to call that. So we're still talking with urban forestry, with public lands, We're gonna talk about that problem. Because it doesn't bring anyone in the city joy to see these trees brought down, because it's part of our urban canopy too. So that's a very important part of the mayor's platform and agenda as well. But well, I'm happy to bring updates on this next month as we keep talking about it. And yeah, that's about it for updates. I'm happy to take any questions. I don't know if we have time, but
This just might be a dumb one. If we take it down, then are they gonna replace with anything?
yeah, so in this case, so the developer did agree to increasing the tree cover. I think the development plan includes more trees than were there initially. They are gonna be, small trees because they're gonna be new trees.
So can we
But-
force them to buy the biggest tree possible?
That's something we need to talk about. Yes.
Do you all have any plans to notify other residents that live on private lines and ensure they have noticed that they are supposed to be maintaining their private line, because these residents, 20 homes, have been drinking polluted water since 1960 because they didn't know they owned the private line. So you could have residents drinking polluted water. Do you have any plans to tell those residents to check if they know that they own the private line?
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I think I'll bring that up with public utilities and get more information on private lines in the city.
Homeowners, they've been really nice for us it's been such a nightmare. I'm gonna get emotional. And she's the one that should be crying. Her house, her basement is flooded, and we had no idea that we were supposed to maintain it. We got no notification when we signed up for our water. It's just, and then there's a couple of people that can't even pay for it. So we've been coming together and trying to get everybody to kind of take care of it. So we're like,
Yeah, I wanna just express too, like, the city needs to change their process for managing, because that private line goes all the way under 400 east. That leak has been dumping water under 400 east since Friday morning or Thursday night.
And the road is sagged in.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and and the city came by, they never even notified us of the leak. We only found out because we've been calling them about it, so there was no notification from the city. There was no communication. That leak burrowed through my foundation and is eroding my foundation. But they were so hands off.
Yeah.
I finally was calling streets team and transportation yesterday, because I'm like, we have 20 residents, many who can't afford the plumbing costs for this. So we're trying, it's a logistical nightmare. We're trying so we can get a new line placed. However, so we can't plug that leak immediately because we can't get everyone to sign a contract.
There's no HOA.
And so the city was just so hands off. They just said, no, we're not touching it. No, we're not touching it, until I called everybody and I said, this is a safety concern. You could have a sinkhole form because you're just letting this water dump. And finally this morning they came by again with no notification and they put a patch on it. And they said, oh, your line's from 1916, 1918.
Yeah.
And I think that was a huge safety concern, not just for us, but for every single person that drives over 400 E. There was no notification that water was dumping underneath and eroding the dirt underneath that street. And so they were so hands off, oh, it's on you, oh, it's on you. And we were explaining to them, we can't get anyone to patch it because we have to get 20 people to sign on and we can't get a hold of everybody. Some people are refusing to answer their doors, refusing to answer their phone calls from us. These residents who are all owning these private line, because nobody knew. This has been years that nobody has known this private line existed. And so that's where my concern for the city was so hands off. It's not till I'm calling other departments and going over, this is a safety concern, you're gonna get a sinkhole, and really pushing that we finally got someone to patch that line. They were fine letting that water, and I've got videos of how much water was running and how much water was running out of my basement. I had to have a pump put in, like how much water was running that they were just allowing to
And
happen.
we're apparently going to get a bill for that fix.
For the
Yeah,
patch,
right?
And so we.
Even though we didn't consent to that, they just came out and finally did it, and it's just a patch. It's not actually like a fix. It's a Band-Aid solution, and
Okay.
we're gonna be responsible now.
Okay.
So the way the city is managing these private
They're
lines.
dealing with it.
It's
They're putting
reckless.
other residents with out.
Yeah, and please, contact your loved ones and past them, if they know if they live on a private line, they could be drinking polluted water.
The line is over 100 years old.
How do you know?
That's, we have
That's a very.
Our homes are a different kind of situation, so, but I do think that hearing him say that they're in Sandy as well, I didn't think that this was the case, that there was any other people like this, because I've never, ever heard anything like this. It's like the city, we don't live in some rural, community, we're like smack dab in right in the city.
And everything you hear is the city owns the main water line, the city owns the main water line, so I didn't even know I could own a private line that went, be a partial owner of a private line that went under a street, because the city is responsible for the street. So this was a huge shock. We have someone who is getting Meals on Wheels Monday through Friday, an elderly resident who is like, she cannot afford this, she can't even qualify for financing. She and we have other residents who are just stopped responding, completely no response from them. So then we have to pocket all of the cost just so we can get this fixed. And there, again, we sign up for water, there's no notification. There hasn't been disclosed, there's nothing that's been disclosed for years through the home speak pot. And like I have to have my foundation checked now. I have to have a hot water heater because it broke my hot water heater instantly. It was a huge impact, and we had no idea, and contacted the city. We got, this is private, we're hands off, and we're like, it's flowing into the street, it's flowing under the street. Sorry, we're hands off.
Well,
and that is wild.
Yes, we had to keep paying for it to be repaired until we can get all 20 homeowners, so we're throwing that money away because it needs to be a new line to replace this.
And a
we
private
can't do
plumbing
anything.
company will not,
Our hands are,
until all contracts are signed.
Yeah, and we might be putting the bill for all this water that was leaking into the
Yeah.
street too.
Clearly, we need to figure all this out. I'm gonna make sure that we get in touch with you all and have a meet with public utilities as soon as we
All
can.
residents.
I've been being told all week by them as well that, oh, people higher up are working on it, people higher up are working on it. And we, if any contact has happened, we have had to make that contact. At no point have they called us.
Yeah, they work for us.
So, and I have said, I want to be in those meetings. If you're talking about what to do, please let us have a voice here. Please let us have a voice. And we are not getting that.
Thank you for sharing it.
So I'm new to the party.
No, you're fine. It's 400 East, right,
Like
like 1700 south. Like, you know where Red Hill is? I live behind Red Hill. That, there's a little like the sidewalk between our homes that face each other. And so the leak was in front of my house. Yeah.
Or one of the leagues.
Yeah, one of the leaks. There's been.
I'm sorry, I think it's not needed.
Say that we've gotta,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
yeah, I don't want to,
Yes, I appreciate.
my heart goes out to you but hopefully you can
Yeah, I'll
sort
get
of
that.
take the lead
I'll
on
get that
making
updated.
sure they get in touch with public utilities. Is that what the next step is?
Yeah, we're gonna get in touch with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the question about annexing the line too, if there's some resources that you can connect them with on that as well.
I remember my brain,
We can't do it, we have to build a line.
it would cost
Maybe
us.
we have the internet.
Oh,
I think we were told like 200K or something.
Developers build it and feed it to the city, so we are sitting here. Yeah, come knock some doors.
We'll get it figured out. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Annie.
You should have gone first.
I know, sorry. Wah, wah. Okay, I'm Annie Ramano, and I just have a couple updates from the school district. Happy first week of school.
Happy first week.
Started on Tuesday for our district. Some kids were excited, some kids were not. I have both of those kids, so the balance. Just a couple announcements. Speaking of community feedback, which we've been talking about, the school board has an organization, I guess, an agency who's doing a community assessment and a real estate assessment on the closed school properties. So specifically Hawthorne,
Benyon, and Mary W. Jackson. So Hawthorne is the one that's applicable to our area. They're having in-person meetings at Liberty Elementary School, which is just right down here on the west side of the park, on Wednesday, September 9th at 4 p.m. and then again on the next day, Thursday, September 10th at 8:15 a.m. And those are open to discussion about all of the properties, but because it's located in our precinct, I'm imagining most people will want to be talking about Hawthorne. And if you cannot make those meetings, they just sent out a survey today, so I just filled it out myself. But I will send Margaret the link and she can send it out maybe with the notes from this meeting. So if you're unable to make that, you still have a voice. And when you enter it, you can enter the survey as a parent or as a community member, someone who's a neighbor to the school. There are various selections. So yes, try to give your feedback. I know this has been a big issue and there are a lot of neighbors who contacted me since I've been in this position in September, talking about like the trees and the green space. And I know that's a big priority. So I'd love to have as many of you there or fill out the survey so your voices can be heard about the future of that. Because as we can tell, all of these developments, even if we don't see it, maybe it's underground in the plumbing, actually affect our property and our lives. So whether it becomes a park or more affordable housing or whatever, I think it will actually make a big difference in the neighborhood. Also, we have started a student advisory council. We have 2 student board members, and we're opening up more positions for more students in high school to do that. So if you know any high school students who'd be interested, those applications are open. But the main thing that's pertinent to you is that we just finalized a policy and administrative procedures for a community advisory council. I've worked closely on this, and a lot of communities throughout the country have these. So it will be about 18 people on this community advisory council, 2 per precinct. So the precinct of the school district is very similar to the city council precinct. So like Erika and I share a lot of the same area of the city. So it'd be 2 people in this area representing this area to discuss all sorts of things like what you think should be done with schools that are closed. What is your opinion on graduation requirements? How many teachers or social workers should there be in a school? And you don't have to have kids. To be honest, it's supposed to be anyone who wants to be involved and has a say, because these are your tax dollars, obviously. So there will be an application process and possibly an interview. The application process has not yet gone live, but I'll send that information to Margaret as well. And then depending on how many people apply for each precinct, we possibly will have interviews. And there will be quarterly meetings with different topics. It's not a decision-making body per se, but it's a way for us to have more organized feedback, because currently the feedback, is a little disorganized. So if anyone is interested in that, hopefully that application will go out soon. Does anyone have questions?
So if you're gathering input on what the community wants to see with these empty or, vacated schools, does that mean that the district has decided that they will be selling those properties?
No.
Okay.
So I think it's up to the board's majority of the board, right? And there are varied opinions. There are a lot of people who see the gaps like that Zach's talking about with the senior center and childcare. And we already have a proposal for the Hawthorne site from Early Childhood Special Needs organization called the Sammy Center. So there is already ideas in the mix, but we want to make sure that it's kind of supported by the majority of the residents surrounding that site and who would be using that. My personal preference is that we don't sell, which is a little tricky because we're facing a deficit right now. So I think it's tempting to want to sell, but I think long-term, either keeping it as a park or repurposing it as a childcare site would be much better for the community and sustain the community long-term. So that's my opinion, and you guys are welcome to tell me what you would like to see there. You can always email me, but I think the main channel is going to be through these meetings and this survey, and then we'll gather all of that data.
So my understanding is the school board or the school district owns the land.
Yeah.
If they were to decide to sell, does the city get a right of first refusal
Yes.
on that? Okay.
Yes, the city does. I'm not aware of exactly the talks, but I know there have been talks between the city and the school district, like, would you want this land or would you not, you know, but I don't think we're there yet. So for now, we just want to kind of hear from everyone what they want, what the community needs are, and how we can make it happen in a financially sustainable way, which is the trick. So,
Well, and you had mentioned, you know, it is a park
yeah,
now, and then leaving the school building and repurposing that.
yeah. So, and there are possibilities, right, where the land could be parceled, because it's two parcels where we leave the green space as a community park and then use the building for something else, or sell the building and that gets redeveloped. You know, there are a myriad of possibilities, and we are not to the point of deciding that. And that's a whole process. I think it's been taking longer than most people would like, but I think it's good that we're careful and really think through the long-term impacts on the city and the community and future students and families.
Is it true that the legislature hasn't passed a bill where a charter school could have first started?
They were trying to pass that bill. It did not pass. So that could come up again. You know them. They recycle ideas. So, but currently that is not, it's the city. But yeah, it's something to be aware of. I mean, we know historically, like my mom went to Roosevelt Junior High, which is now Roland Hall. You know, McGillis School used to be a city property. So oftentimes, or a school district property, excuse me. Oftentimes, if the school district sells, it gets repurposed to either a private or charter school, which then actually hurts the district in some ways in terms of student enrollment. So it's a careful consideration. But anyway, let me know if you have questions.
Thank you. Okay, so we made it to with 9 minutes before my goal of getting there. Jonathan and Alyssa, I will invite you to come on up. Thank you. And introduce yourself. And I think if you want to join the Zoom maybe and share that way, if you've got slides or information you want to present, is that the easiest way? Okay. Thank you. I think if you log Zoom and then you can give him access to be a host of the meeting.
Oh, I'm doing like here.
Oh, okay. Do you want
I don't know what the Wi-Fi is.
Oh, it's Tracy Aviary.
What is it?
Tracy Aviary.
Tracy Aviary, and the password is.
Okay.
Carlsen.
Are we the only ones on the agenda for the rest of the time?
Yep.
Oh. Do you have an HDMI that I could plug into?
If we unplug that, then we unplug our whole tech for the meeting. So if you want to email.
Yeah, I don't have internet.
Yes, I could.
If you go to Aviary Public, the password is literally Tracy Aviary. Yeah.
If that doesn't work, you can click on this. Click on this.
Oh, I got it.
It worked?
Yeah. What do we do now?
Send to my email, which you
Okay.
have, I think, and then.
I'm gonna start passing these around in case someone wants them.
Thanks.
Thanks for giving us 30 minutes. It's 37 minutes. Oh no, I have the whole. I don't think I sent you the whole PowerPoint.
Tell me when you sent it and I'll.
Okay, give me the rest.
Yeah.
as everybody sees my email. Pay no attention to drama happening. I did a big purge a while ago and I probably purged some things I shouldn't have, but it did felt very freeing.
That's incredible.
Margaret, I'm currently sitting at 34,690.
I just couldn't take it.
Nice, big numbers you're doing now.
I
don't know, then you can ask me to find the emails.
also, while we have a lull, I might be able to help your water.
What's that?
I might be able to help your water.
Really?
Yes.
Come join the
He
party.
said he might be able to help our water.
That was so mysterious.
Are you a wizard?
No, I have a wizard. I'm a realtor. I have a guy whose thing is water rights and locating weird private water sources and how to navigate them.
No way.
Yeah. So I might be able to see what we can do, guys.
Okay, we would love to be with the wizard.
Alright, I'm sending it now.
Also, if you're from Boston,
I'm not, but I spent a really long time in Boston Airport. And invited to Obviously, next month, you can come again. I will come in. I wish I was from Boston, but no, I just.
understand, we're great people.
Folks know each other.
Likes pastries.
I've been to Boston.
I'm just gonna share my whole screen. What's that? Here. He's like, right?
Oh, okay. Is there one that he's got some insurance,
Basically, all.
Are you from Boston? Yeah.
Worcester.
What?
Worcester.
and.
It's about Worcester. It's about 40 miles outside of Boston.
I don't have time.
Life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Look at this mug.
Had a girl.
There's one single fire down. I knew in one day. Do you want this on your grid?
No, that's, you know, and I
You could
just
just
have the.
write that.
I thought
And
about
you
it.
have your feeling down, I can't not smile when you see that. Yeah.
I'll leave it to what you guys feel is relevant. This is your time, so, yeah. Okay.
Hello, everyone.
We're off the study.
Um,
It's accent.
My name is Jonathan and this is Melissa.
Hi.
We're Liberty Wells residents. Who here is familiar with the Wells on Ward Church block? Community Center? Okay, and then who's familiar with the rezoning and planning? Okay, so about maybe half here. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna go through just some background on that lot and how it's being rezoned, and then our concerns from different directions, covering affordability, and also we've done a lot of polling in the neighborhood. What the overall community concerns are. So we're kind of looking at this from two angles. We'll be discussing details we have, and then we want just some sort of discussion with the community, and then see if we have any kind of more feedback. We've had a number of meetings on this, starting with a meeting here that we actually missed because we were pretty preoccupied at the time. I'm not sure who was involved with that from here, but then we went to the planning commission meeting, and then more recently we met with Erika and discussed these slides. We've had a couple more slides to here. We had a really productive discussion there, and then next we have a follow-up meeting with her, and then it's going to go to the city council after that. Okay. So first, I just want to go over some housing initiatives that have been laid out in Plan Salt Lake, which is a guideline for Salt Lake framework. Density should have moderate density increases where appropriate. So just taking snippets from the actual PDF Plan Salt Lake. And looks like my slide's a little bit messed up here, but compatibility should be matching existing neighborhood scale and character. And also housing should be accessible to all incomes. So these are taken straight from the framework from Plain Salt Lake. And just give a background for Wells on Fifth. On the top left is what we had before, so it was well scored. For those who are unaware, the foundation was destroyed in an earthquake, and then later it caught on fire, and then it was demolished, and it was a vacant lot for a couple of years. We were kind of excited for future development of that lot, and the plan that was laid out more recently was Castlewood Development is under contract or has purchased the lot. Stated that they're going to be for sale townhouses. I think originally we had 24, and then after the community council here, they went down to 22. The quote that they gave us, price point was $580,000. Doing research, we have a lot more on that, but we know that that's a number that seems difficult to attain or abide by. And we're at 22 townhouses. All of them are going to be 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,000 square feet. Part of this is we're rezoning the current zone from R1 5000. So all this yellow here is R1 5000. The villa is RMF 35, as well as the Sears Mansions RMF 35. So that these have kind of have been used as kind of a stepping stone for this to also be rezoned to RMF 35.
This is located at 500 East, 1900 South.
Yeah. Well, 500 East 20.
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's be more specific. Sorry?
Who are you guys with?
We live right
We live directly across the street.
You're just concerned neighbors?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Not just.
Yes.
We're not
Yeah.
proposing the townhome.
These are sick, right?
Yeah, good questions. Yeah, we're not affiliated with anyone. We're just decided to be active because our personal concerns, and also we want it to be the best for the whole community, right? Because right now we see a lot of fallacies in this.
Where's the process at?
Planning Commission approved it, and now it's going to City Council.
Yeah, and it sounds like city council. Favor of it, but you know. not-
The agenda for.
Yes, Erika is one of her announcements. That will be on September.
Sound like public comment was, is that the actual meeting?
Yeah, so what they'll do is the city council will take public comments. They won't vote. They'll make a motion to defer vote to a later date.
Okay.
But 15th, they will take public input.
Yeah, so part of this is just like mobilize more support, see who else is on board. We want as many people to join that city council meeting as possible. See if we can get, more massing of people against it. Since I'll show some slides, but everyone we polled in the area, or most people we polled, have had concerns. Was there a question?
Yeah, do we know the time of the 15th meeting? The city council meeting starts at 7. If you want to see your public comment, you have to submit. There's a card to fill out. I think it has to be submitted by 7:13 or 7:30.
7:30 for online.
For online, just 7:30.
Yeah.
But if you go in person, you fill out a card and they.
I'm curious, do you know of any similar developments that have been successfully shut down and what their strategy was to accomplish that? I feel like I've never heard of.
Jeff,
this
would you
without
mind
happening.
coming up so you can get closer to the microphone since you have so much to share?
They're calling on me because I live across from the Sears lot, and I'm in opposition to slot homes. Because Denver outlawed slot homes in 2018 because they saw all the negative impacts to existing residential neighborhoods. And what I've been proposing to the city council forever is the slot homes have their place along 2100 South, areas like that. But as infill in an existing neighborhood, what's been happening is people they buy a lot, they buy a home, they tear down that home, and then they build a row of 5 condos, 3 stories tall, that overlook the neighbors, putting them on display 24/7. And that's what just personally I'm opposed to, and that's what the residents of Denver were opposed to. And they went to the city council for 20 years. The council specifically stated that for 20 years we've heard nothing but negative from the residents. Yes.
To clarify. Is that similar on 400 east between 17th South and 13th South? There's currently like for like several little townhomes.
Yeah.
Condensed area going up. Do you know what I'm talking
Yep.
about?
Yep.
Those are.
Those would meet the the description of a slot home. Yeah.
So tall, they shade out the other house.
Yeah.
We're not against density and development. We just want it to be compatible with the existing neighborhood, and that's kind of the essence of these slides. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
And
yes.
you know, and Liberty Wells, we on our website, LWCCSLC.org, there's a density statement, especially after the Sears lot, where the neighborhood and the community council, we all submitted to the city council and said, because they wanted to build 2 4-story buildings on that property of condos. And the community, all the neighbors said, we don't want that. We're not opposed to density. Duplexes, fourplexes, things that
Our little row.
fit, cottage court. Cottage court. You know,
Yeah.
we're fine with that. We want more neighbors. We're not opposed to density.
It just don't matter.
So if you want to read that, it's on our website and it describes.
Links there to missing middle information about missing middle housing
Yeah.
too as well.
We want more neighbors. We want neighbors.
So I think for a lot of us, the issue is not more housing, it's the scale compared to the existing neighborhood. It's also the affordability. The developers love saying, oh, well, this is going to increase affordability across the city. Well, it's not. And Denver did the exact. Denver did.
But maybe let them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can go forever.
Yeah.
I can go forever.
Can you leave one question until
Yeah.
the end? Because I feel like a lot of questions are being answered in slides.
Yeah.
We'll try to get through these quickly.
Sorry.
No problem, Jeff. Yeah, we really appreciate you, and you've been like wonderful. Yeah, as well as you, Margaret. All right, I'll just try to go through it relatively quickly because I kind of realize points. But basically, we looked at comparables on the market currently, comparing just the price point. This is just looking at the affordable discussion. For comparables, we mostly found 3-bed townhouses, and I actually had my realtor pull comps from previously sold townhouses. Averages are 3-bedroom, and these are gonna be 4-bedroom, right? Comparables are ranging from 600 to 1 million. When we talk about affordable housing, that's less than 80% AMI. Attainable housing is 80 to 100% AMI. So just showing that 4-bedroom, you know, you're going to scale up the price, probably be closer to 700, 800,000. This is not going to be attainable from most people.
And if you caught on the last slide, I guess their quote is that each townhouse that they're building is going to be 508,000. But there is nothing holding them to that. So they can go as high as if you want to once.
She said explicitly that that's not like, it's just kind of an estimate that she made, but that doesn't, not there's no binding agreement to 5,000. This is just comparables of recent properties that were sold kind of across Salt Lake Valley. You can see the average is three beds, and then we're looking somewhere in the range of 600 to 900,000, and this is just scale across Salt Lake Valley. When we talk about affordable housing, like I said, that's 80% AMI. AMI is 100,000 per year. So affordable housing technically be $400,000 or less if we want to pertain to the overall median income. Wells on Fifth is going to be at least 600, so that's going to be 120% AMI. And then we're just looking at why are townhouses even attractive in the first place? It's kind of an entry point for new buyers. We know there's a housing crisis in the country right now. So these should be lower costs. They should provide ownership and equity to new home buyers as well as, you know, current home buyers. And also they have reduced upkeep to the HOA. Just comparing to, you know, our neighborhood, we see 500 to get cut off of 700 from 1,000. So these are not going to be showing a lower price point compared to what is currently on the market for houses. So I don't see the incentive for people to want to buy townhouses that are going to be luxury more expensive than they want to get into the market. They probably just prefer houses because that price point is going to be lower. There's no enforcement for these to be for sale owner occupancy houses. So I've talked to developer, I've talked to planning. They said explicitly if these don't sell, then they can sell to private equity and turn into rentals. So we know rentals is part of the reason why we have the housing issues in the first place. So these are just a number of the concerns we have where there's, you know, and I'll get into the neighborhood. Even from this angle, it's not solving any problem. And then we gauged feedback across the neighborhood. So we had petitions, online survey. Thanks for everyone who helped with that. And this was just from our limited time, from our busy work schedule and life. So we got 63 comments against, 5 for, and then people for were not living in the community. So we just want to show that people in the neighborhood were generally against these. And then if we look at neighborhood concerns, first one was neighborhood compatibility, spot rezoning concerns. You know, the code in Liberty Wells is R1 5000, meaning that you can have a house of 27 feet with a pitched roof. But if you go around the neighborhood, most houses have 1 story or boxes. So neighborhood compatibility, traffic and parking. If these are all filled, we're going to be increasing density by 7 to 9x. So heavy street spillover, traffic, safety concerns, and then height scale. I think this is actually possibly #1 from. I maybe want to gauge just which one is people's most concerned because I would kind of change our proposal angle. But I think height and scale is maybe the highest concern here. Just 30-foot boxes around bungalow 1 stories, density increase, and open and green space. And then this was another point. The Villa and the Sears were rezoned to RM 35. I wasn't present when that was done, but there's an intermediate rezoning RM 30. So we're just wondering why can't we just go to RM 30 if we want transitional density? We understand density is needed for city, and people need houses, we need more neighbors, but why?
Does anyone want us to go into more detail about what RM 30 versus 35? Okay.
RM 30 just basically says that we need to cap it to 30 feet. RM 35 allows for 35 feet. You can think of this as more of a precedent for future spot rezoning. Right now, this one is actually abiding mostly to RM 30 besides setback. RM 30 setback is 20 feet, where this one's 13 feet, but everything else from this project is RM 30. The reason why we would want RM 30 versus RM 35 is because we don't want to set a precedence for this to be a stepping stone for more. Every time there's buildings level or vacated and then leveled, then there go spot rezone in RM 35, and then this basically the incremental change of these kind of encroaching across the whole neighborhood.
So more specifically, during the planning commission, they were using a rezoning of an area pretty close by it that was opposed by a large portion of the neighborhood, but it still went through. They used that to justify this one, and they'll use this one to justify it. So that's why we're thinking that it would be better if we make it RM 30 or the medium density rather than this higher density.
and then this kind of brings to like where we have some tension because greater density, taller buildings is gonna often result in more affordable housing, so we have to think about like which argument is kind of the stronger community concern, and then how do we kind of like target proposal. So the next step is just to bring some sort of concise proposal to Erika and City Council. So this is what we had in that meeting with Erika. These were kind of the summary of everything that we discussed. So we had a number of neighborhood concerns. We also had affordability concerns, and together there's just overall the proposal's lacking. So we want to just make sure that we're making everything make sense if we're going to be using that lot for development.
Actually, it's really quick. I don't feel like we never actually answered your question earlier about has community input actually ever resulted in a change in something like this?
Yeah, I was thinking about
that. Yeah, the reason I pointed to Jeff was because he experienced a point in time where a bunch of people from the community came out to the city council meeting, and they spoke out in opposition to the building of a bunch of townhomes. And the city council was really impressed by all of the people who showed up, and we actually voted no on it.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I give some background to the process people asked at the meeting. So currently this lot is privately owned by the LDS Church. The constructor, the developer company, that's what part of their they're under contract. Part of the contract is we're not going to buy it until all of our ducks are in a row, and part of the ducks in a row are having the city approve it. And so this vote isn't saying this lot will never get developed. It's just saying, do you want the city to approve this contract to go through at this moment in time with the proposal these developers have proposed? Whereas, and I'll just say, you guys have experienced, the developers have listened a lot better than the city has. It seems like developers have made concessions already with you guys along a couple of things. You said 24 to 22, right? But anyways, what you guys are asking people to show up for is the city council meeting to show that the community
still
has some notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that fair to say? Just so you understand the dynamic.
I want to make sure we don't turn this into like a gap situation where like we say no to everything, and so then we end up getting the worst possible.
Yeah, we're not saying no. We want development. We want development that's sensible. Like these as they stand, as I'm showing, are going to be vacant boxes because they're not attainable. They're outside of their greater than 100. They're greater than 120% AMI. So who's going to buy like the tail of the top end earners?
We have several proposals, and we actually wanted community feedback on like what seems appropriate. As it stands, I do feel like the townhomes will get approved, but Erika is really great and working with us and developers potentially make some changes.
But actually, on the previous slide, it said something about deed restriction.
Deed restriction is kind of like a binding agreement for specifically affordable housing, where essentially you have to be living in the house to purchase it.
So to avoid.
Well, I think it's actually also, I think there's also some income restraints too, and like it's kind of targeted for someone who.
So you're asking the developer or speaking to them about putting on a deed restriction, so you sell it, it's owner occupied.
Something
like that. Owner occupied, I think is the strong one. So we don't want them to be sold to private equity or wealthy individuals who then turn into rentals, and then the housing situation perpetuates. The houses keep getting more expensive. Go ahead.
So I don't know if you've noticed, but on 27th South and 5th East, they built some condos, and they've been done for 6 months, and none of them have sold.
So
the affordability is.
You said 27.
27th South.
Yeah, and if you go on Zillow and just search townhouses, it's like
there was one on.
I didn't even do that much work here, and I just found
between 300 and 400 East on 21st South, none of them sold, and they're now all.
Yeah, and I feel like I asked around the community, and everyone has stories about these townhouses that are I don't, I truly don't understand the,
incentive. for-
yeah, why are we building? We want people to get into houses and we want people to be purchasing homes, not to just build homes. I mean, maybe the incentives, these getting price cut. Go ahead.
Do you have any additional slides to share? Or are we in the-
So I put together a proposal here. This is something that we can work on together here, but this is my original, this is kind of like my starting point. On the left, I just have Castlewood plan for each item, and then what I propose for, or what we propose for these different items. So now we're starting at 22. You know, we'd like to see some meshing of density, but we understand there is a need for density, so we're trying to kind of compromise that, you know, slightly lower possible to try to mesh the community. Unit type is 4-bedroom only. A good point that came up in the meeting is doing like a staggered mixed unit development. So meaning on the outside of development, we would have 2 stories that are 2 or 3 bedroom. These would have a lower price point, so they should be more attainable to average people. And that's part of the perimeter units I have in the next row. Setbacks, we talked about this as RMF 35. So they want to do 10 to 14 foot setbacks. Average setback in the community is roughly 20 feet. So we'd like to be 20 feet, match the existing neighborhood.
I have a question, maybe someone who knows, is this 10 to 14 feet from the sidewalk or from the road?
From that.
Okay, so the curve.
I thought there's something.
Okay.
No, I just thought there was a chat.
We have 9 minutes.
Okay, owner occupancy, we'd like that to be, like to enforce owner occupancy as we discussed. Zoning, discuss that, and also architecture as part of neighborhood compatibility. We'd like to kind of see some sort of varied architecture to kind of just pass. And then the next slide I had was just some questions to gauge the broader community council to see if we could come to some sort of stance. I didn't run this by Margaret first, but
That's okay. We have to click back on the slide deck, yeah.
okay. So yeah, I had a number of questions. I know there was some difference in opinion here, but we just want to have some sort of consensus from the rural community for, you know, the different items. Since again, we're for development, we just want sensible development. That's where I start with a number of questions here for the board to see if we can come to some sort of stance and have an official stance from our community council. So that includes rezoning, costs, mixed units, like we talked about, doing like a perimeter of 2 stories to kind of mesh with the community better. Setbacks, for sale, and then also architecture. Okay. Any?
Do you want to go by each one?
If so we only have 8 minutes, plus those wondering if we can set that progress or something. I'm not sure how that works.
Well, so I think the proposal, I think we want to work on, and if there's things we want to change here, we're kind of acting like as pseudo liaisons from this community to Erika, who we'll meet with on September 11th. And then we can try to address questions as well. So we can do about that.
So you feel like this developer they're going to approve this developer buying a lot, that kind of where we're at, and so you're trying to figure out a way to adjust the plans? Is that where I'm just trying to get all of us on the same page? Okay, so we're not kind of opening up the possibility of like the church selling to the city and creating affordable housing or something like that. Like, I feel like this is pretty far down the line. Okay, just wanted to check things.
Do you have a priority of what is most important on this list here? Because obviously there's probably gonna be concessions both ways. Is there one that's like a must-have versus a nice to have?
Well, here, maybe just do a quick vote. I mean, first, for those who are concerned, Who would say neighborhood compatibility is like top? Okay, I think I saw 4 hands, and then who would say traffic and parking density?
I'd be interested in seeing data on these things before weighing them.
What kind of data?
Like, what is the impact on parking? Because all I see is heavy street spillover, like what percentage of cars, have trouble finding parking.
These were concerns from
Yeah.
polling.
Yeah.
Like,
But I guess
we
it'd be
don't.
nice to get like numbers and stuff too. I'm a very like data.
We actually asked
person.
if the reporters, like, if they were going to do any kind of studies on that, and they were like, no.
Yeah, because they're not incentivized to.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah, we brought this up in the planning commission, Go ahead.
I think your most impactful argument is showing by other properties, like the ones in the bunch. The amount of $450,000 homes that are selling, and it's going to be very, very disparate. I think that will be very moving for them. That's my recommendation.
And then also adding on to that, because that's exactly what I was thinking, like showing how many of those that don't sell turn into rentals, and then if there's any data to show what impact that has on communities, especially as far as affordability goes. Like, I think going in with a data-based argument about like, this is the impact and this is why more affordable housing matters, it's actually better, like in the grand scheme.
Yeah, because the planning commission is pro-development. I know you're like, oh, we're not arguing for not development, but then they're thinking a bunch of renters with a lot of money versus 2 homes, 3 homes.
Planning
You're gonna have to.
Necessarily pro-development. I served on the planning commission for years. I'm tied by law. I can't vote against. So I'm not a planning commissioner anymore, but like I can't vote against the project simply because I don't like what's going to. I would recommend keeping your arguments focused on the zoning change. There's 2 parts of this general plan amendment that we're trying to do, which would allow this particular project, the zoning change that will allow that project to exist within the framework of the master plan of the city. If you keep your arguments focused on the zoning change, and this is why they bundle them up like that, because they know people are going to get upset with the project, and it's much more defensible. Be like, oh, you just don't like the project, it's the free market, deal with it. But if you say argue against the zoning change, then the impacts of the community, I think you'll have more impact. The contact your council. Sounds like she might be on your side.
They have, no, they've meet.
Okay.
We've met with her.
And light up their email inboxes, like nothing will scare me more than 1,000 emails.
You said you were on the planning commission?
Not here.
That's your gag.
So the folks in the RNS 30 is here.
I would, yes, because it's very easy for developers to say, oh, they just don't like us. And that's not a legal argument for a council to vote against the project.
And the RNS 30 still includes 22 units, and still lets them go if they want to go, right?
Yeah, it's just setting a precedent, so, because, I mean, you could rezone Arma 35 down the street, and then we're gonna be getting 35 more dense, units.
We have maybe time for one more question, and then I think maybe we could close by you guys, if you want people to send you information, or, I think the message here is notifying people that this is happening, right? And that there is a concern that many have, and that there will be a hearing at the city council meeting on the 15th. And you guys are looking for some support to kind of speak out, or, kind of coalesce around some of these ideas, and kind of, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
15th at
7 p.m.
Yeah, I don't know the best way to organize more people to join that meeting, because I feel like we've had these like fragmented kind of groups, but yeah, that's part of us coming here to try to have more people show.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
I just wanted to discuss that when we talk about affordability, that's usually directly opposed to less parking and higher density. Like higher density, less parking equals more affordable. So these things are almost directly opposed to each other.
Well,
so I just think that's helpful context for this as we discuss it, is like it's going to be about how they pencil it, right? And can they pencil it to make sense for their development? And I think developers can sometimes be like, they will respond to community concerns as long as it still pencils in their mind. So I think it sounds like you've been able to go back and forth with them a little bit.
Yeah, and part of this is not to show we want affordability plus neighborhood compatibility, because they're kind of intention.
Yeah.
To show that we're not meeting either one.
Yeah.
So we're not. We need changes. It's kind of what we're showing here.
Yeah. Nobody wants this. It's not affordable. Why are we doing this? So is this helping other than?
I will just comment, if you go to the city council meeting to speak, The important thing is when you speak, the first thing you say is, I live in the neighborhood, or I'm this close to the development. That's what really worked when the city council unanimously voted against a development, was the neighborhood showed up and they made sure and said, look, this directly impacts me and this is why I'm here. And whatever, whatever you want to say, but make it clear that you're in the neighborhood, you're directly affected.
We have 1 minute. I don't know how we can go over a little bit.
Yeah.
Just give our information.
Okay.
If you want any more, like, if you have any more comments or questions, maybe we'll just write.
Yeah, we could also just hang out. Yeah, if you guys have comments or questions, you can send something else. We can revise this.
Let's write your email somewhere. Yeah. And then while we're writing this, I feel like tomorrow.
Yes, yeah. So, well, thank you. Again, we wanted to, our role as a community council is to really connect our neighbors with people in the city, the resources available to them, and vice versa, connect our neighbors to each other. And so, the intention here is, Jonathan and Alyssa right across the street definitely have concerns. They're definitely not alone. And if you have an opinion about this development in one way or another, make sure to attend the city council meeting on September 15th. Jonathan and Alyssa, they've put their email here and that will be sent out. We can attach this to the minutes when we send those out next week. And so thank you for putting your thoughts together and sharing. Yeah,
thank you, Margaret.
Absolutely. With that, we are out of time. I want to thank you all for coming. I apologize already again that I've had to cut some of the conversation short. I hope at least we've made at least some headway on a connection, especially for your issue. And we meet every third Thursday. Typically, we meet in a small conference room upstairs of where the gift shop is. Sometimes when we know we've got a big attendance, we'll be in this meeting. All are welcome. Well, I know that sometimes it's controversy that draws people to a meeting. Being involved in community on this hyper local level really does feel empowering in a lot of ways. And this is really where change can ultimately happen, especially when sometimes, on a state or national level, it can feel a little bit helpless. So I would encourage you all to come on back to our meeting next month or in the future. And thank you very much. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Yeah.
I need to talk to you about when they're gonna finish the playground at Liberty Park.
It was supposed to be done this fall. There were some back ordered parts and they're seeing this fall. I've heard nothing different than that. Yeah. So
I just don't know who's in charge or if there's any, or I'm just gonna show up one day and it's gonna be.
Go to the public lands projects website and they give updates on the project there, but it'll tell you the same thing. There were some parts that were back ordered. Those have come in now and it's scheduled to be open this fall.
Fine. My children are like,
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, I thought it was gonna be done.
I'd say like that. Yeah. Oh, fine.
You went over it?
Yeah, sorry.
And Greta?